Your body is refusing to burn fat right now, even if you haven't eaten for hours. You could skip breakfast. You could go half the day without food. You could feel that hunger, that empty stomach, that slight drop in energy. And still, your body is not touching your stored fat. Not because it can't, but because it doesn't need to. And that's the part almost nobody explains. Most people believe that the moment they stop eating, their body starts burning fat. It sounds logical. No food coming in means the body must use what's already stored. But inside your body, there's a completely different system running. A system that follows one simple rule: use the easiest fuel first. And right now, even if you haven't eaten, your body still has access to that easy fuel. So instead of switching to fat, it stays exactly where it is. This is why fasting feels like it should be working, but often doesn't. You go hours without food. You expect progress, but nothing visibly changes. And the longer this happens, the more confusing it becomes. Because what you don't see is the invisible resistance happening inside your body. Your fat is not gone. It's not unavailable. It's just being ignored. And there's a very specific hour, a precise moment in your fasting timeline, where that resistance finally disappears. A moment when your body stops choosing sugar and is forced to switch. Before that hour, almost nothing changes. After that hour, everything does. And once you understand exactly when that happens, you'll realize something important. Your body was never refusing to burn fat forever. It was just waiting for the exact hour you haven't reached yet. This isn't about willpower. It's not about you lacking discipline. And it's definitely not because your body is somehow broken or different from everyone else's. In fact, your body is doing exactly what it was designed to do. It's following a system that has kept humans alive for thousands of years. The problem is not effort. The problem is expectation. You were told that fat burning starts the moment you stop eating, that the second food disappears, your body begins pulling energy from fat, that every hour you spend fasting is directly burning fat. It sounds simple, it sounds clean, and it's completely misleading. Because your body doesn't work on your expectations, it works on efficiency. And efficiency means using what's easiest first. So when you stop eating, your body doesn't panic. It doesn't immediately switch to fat. Instead, it calmly looks at what's already available. It checks its internal fuel stores. And if there's still glucose, still stored energy from your last meals, it will use that first. Every time. This is why fasting for a few hours feels like it should be doing something, but often isn't. Because during that time, your body is still running on the same fuel it was using before you even started. Nothing has forced it to change yet. And this creates a pattern that's incredibly frustrating. You fast. You feel hungry. You assume progress is happening. Then you eat, and unknowingly reset the entire system before anything meaningful begins. Not because you failed, but because you were following a belief that doesn't match how your body actually works. Your body is not resisting you. It's simply following its programming. And until that programming is pushed far enough to change fuel sources, it will keep doing the same thing, no matter how hard you try. So if it's not your discipline, and it's not your effort, then what is actually stopping your body from burning fat? There are two forces inside your body working together, quietly controlling this entire process. And as long as they're active, your fat stays locked. Not because your body is stubborn, but because it's following the easiest path available. The first is insulin. Every time you eat, your body releases insulin. And insulin sends a very clear signal: store energy and use glucose. But there's another instruction hidden inside that signal, one that matters even more for fat loss. As long as insulin is present, your body will not burn fat. It won't access it, it won't release it, it won't use it. Fat is essentially put on hold. The second force is glycogen. Glycogen is stored glucose. It's your body's backup fuel, held inside your liver and muscles. And when you stop eating, this is what your body turns to first. Not fat. Glycogen. Think of it like this. Your body has two fuel sources. One is easy and immediate, glycogen. The other is stored and requires more effort, fat. As long as the easy fuel is available, your body will always choose it. So even when insulin starts to drop after you stop eating, glycogen is still there. Ready, accessible, convenient, and this is where the real block happens. Because as long as glycogen exists in meaningful amounts, your body has no reason to switch. It continues running on glucose, just from a different source, and fat remains untouched. This is why it feels like your body is resisting fat loss. You're fasting, you're waiting. But internally, your body is still comfortable. It hasn't reached a point where it needs to change, so it doesn't. Insulin sets the rule. Glycogen enforces it, and together, they keep your body locked in glucose mode, preventing the transition to fat burning from ever happening, at least not yet. But here's the part that changes everything. Your body is not stuck in this cycle. It's not permanently dependent on glucose. It hasn't lost the ability to burn fat. In fact, that system is still there, fully built, fully functional, waiting in the background. It just hasn't been activated yet. Because your body doesn't switch fuels randomly. It waits for a very specific condition, a threshold. A moment where continuing to rely on glucose is no longer possible. And when that moment arrives, your body doesn't hesitate. It adapts instantly. This is not something you force with willpower. It's something that happens automatically when your body reaches that point. There is an exact hour in your fasting timeline where this shift begins. A moment when glycogen is low enough, insulin is quiet enough, and your body finally has no choice but to unlock fat. And when that happens, everything feels different. Hunger becomes more stable. Energy stops crashing. Your body stops fighting you and starts working with you. Not because you changed who you are, but because you finally gave your body the conditions it was waiting for. This is why some people experience fasting completely differently. They don't feel constant hunger. They don't struggle the same way. They reach that threshold, and once they do, the entire experience changes. And the most important part is this. That moment is predictable. It's not random. It's not luck. It's not genetics as much as you think. It happens at a specific point in time. And once you know where that point is, you stop guessing, and you start working with your biology instead of against it. And that's when fat burning finally begins. To understand when your body actually starts burning fat, you have to see what's happening inside it over time. Because this is not a sudden event. It's a progression. A sequence your body follows step by step, and until it reaches the end of that sequence, nothing truly changes. At hour 0, right after you eat, your body is fully in fed mode. Blood glucose rises, insulin is released, and your cells are flooded with easy energy. This is the most comfortable state your body can be in. Everything it needs is right there in the bloodstream. There is no pressure, no need to adapt, no reason to access stored fat. In this state, fat burning is completely shut down, not slowed, not reduced, completely inactive. As the first few hours pass, around hour 2 to 4, your body continues processing that meal. Insulin is still present, still signaling your cells to use glucose. Any excess energy is being stored as glycogen in your liver and muscles. This is your body preparing for later, storing fuel it can use once food is no longer available. You might feel normal, maybe even energized, but internally nothing has shifted. You are still entirely dependent on incoming fuel. By hour 4 to 8, insulin begins to decline, and your body transitions from using incoming glucose to using stored glucose. This is where glycogen comes into play. Your liver starts releasing glycogen to maintain stable blood sugar levels. Your muscles draw from their own stores. But even here, your body is still running on the same type of fuel. It's still glucose. It's just coming from inside instead of outside. This is the stage where most people believe fat burning begins. You haven't eaten for several hours. Your stomach might feel empty, and it seems logical that your body must now be using fat. But it isn't. Your body is still comfortable. It still has access to easy fuel. There is no urgency, no need to switch. Between hour 8 and 12, glycogen continues to be used. Your liver works steadily to keep your blood sugar stable, releasing just enough glucose to fuel your brain and vital functions. Your body is efficient. It doesn't waste resources. And as long as glycogen is available, it will continue using it. This is the invisible plateau. You're fasting, you're waiting, but internally your body is still in the same mode. The only difference is where the glucose is coming from. Then, as you move into hour 12 to 14, something begins to shift. Your glycogen stores are no longer full. They're being depleted. Insulin levels are now significantly lower. Your body starts to sense that its preferred fuel source is running out. This creates a subtle form of stress, not dangerous, but enough to trigger change. Your cells begin to increase their sensitivity to alternative fuels. Hormonal signals adjust. Your body starts preparing for a transition. But it hasn't committed yet. Now comes the critical threshold. Around hour 14 to 16, your glycogen levels drop to a point where they can no longer fully sustain your energy needs. Insulin is low enough that it no longer blocks fat access. And your body reaches a moment where continuing in glucose mode is no longer efficient. This is where the switch begins. Your body starts releasing fatty acids from your fat stores. It begins converting them into usable energy. Your liver starts producing ketones, a fuel your brain can use when glucose is limited. This is not a small adjustment. It's a fundamental shift in how your body operates. Then, as you move into hour 16, 18, and beyond, that shift becomes complete. Fat is no longer a backup option. It becomes your primary fuel. Your body is now actively pulling energy from stored fat. Hunger becomes more controlled, energy becomes more stable, and processes like autophagy begin to activate, allowing your cells to clean up and repair themselves. This is the moment everything changes. And when you look back at the earlier hours, you realize they were not the main event. They were the setup. Because until your body runs out of its preferred fuel, it will never switch to the one you're trying to burn. So here's the moment most people miss. Your body doesn't start burning fat when you stop eating. It starts burning fat when it runs out of glucose, and that usually doesn't happen until around hour 14. Sometimes closer to hour 16. That's the exact hour your body stops resisting. Not because you forced it, not because you suffered enough, but because the internal conditions finally changed. Glycogen is low, insulin is quiet, and your body has no more easy fuel left to rely on. So it switches. That's the moment fat stops being stored energy and becomes usable fuel. And once you understand that, the solution becomes incredibly simple. You don't need to do extreme fasting. You don't need to starve yourself for days. You don't need complicated protocols. You just need to reach that hour consistently. That means one small adjustment. If you usually fast for 10 to 12 hours, extend it slightly. Push it to 14. If possible, reach 16. Not perfectly. Not every single day. But often enough that your body actually experiences the switch. Because if you stop before that point, your body never has a reason to change. The second adjustment is to reduce how often you trigger insulin during your eating window. Because if your entire day is filled with constant spikes, your body stays dependent on glucose longer, making it harder to reach that transition the next time you fast. And the third is consistency. Because the more often your body reaches that switching point, the easier it becomes. Your system adapts. It learns. It becomes more efficient at accessing fat. And over time, what once felt difficult becomes natural. Hunger becomes quieter. Energy becomes smoother. And fat burning becomes something your body does automatically, instead of something you struggle to force. All because you finally gave it enough time to reach the exact hour it was waiting for. But this is exactly where most people go wrong. The first mistake is stopping too early. You fast for 10 hours, maybe 12, and then you eat because it feels like enough. But now you know, that's right before the switch. You're ending the process at the exact moment your body is about to change fuel systems. So every time you do this, you repeat the setup, without ever getting the result. The second mistake is constantly spiking insulin during your eating window. You might fast for 14 or even 16 hours, but if you spend the rest of the day snacking, drinking sugar, or eating foods that trigger repeated insulin spikes, you're training your body to stay dependent on glucose. That makes the next fast harder, longer, and less effective. The third mistake is expecting immediate fat loss. The first few times you extend your fast, your body is still adapting. You may feel hunger, discomfort, even doubt. But that's not failure. That's your body learning how to switch fuel systems again after relying on glucose for so long. The fourth mistake is inconsistency. You try it once, maybe twice, but you don't repeat it enough for your body to become efficient at it. Metabolic switching is a skill your body develops. The more often you reach that exact hour, the easier it becomes. And the fifth mistake is overcomplicating everything. You don't need perfect timing. You don't need extreme protocols. You don't need to track every variable. You just need to give your body enough uninterrupted time without food to force the transition. So here's what you do. Don't try to change your entire life today. Just take one step. Extend your fasting window by 2 hours. That's it. If you normally stop at 12, go to 14. If you can, go to 16. Do it consistently for the next few days and pay attention to what changes. Notice your hunger. Notice your energy. Notice how your body feels once it finally crosses that threshold. Because when you reach that exact hour, you won't need to guess anymore. You'll feel it. And that's when you realize the truth. Your body was never refusing to burn fat. It was just waiting for you to go far enough.